There are a ton of builds in Destiny, and with Frontiers on the horizon, I asked you all what you thought was the best build for every subclass on each class. Those votes and responses are what sparked this series to life, and I'm making these videos in hopes that they can be used as refreshers for current players and complete guides for new players looking to hop into the game. All of these builds will not be using the seasonal artifact and can be used in any endgame content that you would like to do. So if you want a build to work towards that should last theoretically forever, look no further. Once everything is posted, there will be a total of 18 builds for you to chase after, so if you're curious about another playstyle, definitely be sure to check them all out. I've been working on this project for quite a while, and it has definitely taken a long time, so I really hope you all can enjoy them. If it wasn't for you, series like this could not exist, so I just wanted to say thank you. And finally, if you are new here and enjoying the content, consider doing all the normal YouTube stuff and joining our Discord server. All of your support really does go a long way and is genuinely appreciated. But without further ado, thanks for clicking on the video and let's jump right into the build. Alright, starting this series off, we're going to be talking about the most effective and easiest to play Prismatic Warlock build. If you played during Final Shape, this build needs absolutely no introduction, and you could argue it's one of the strongest builds in the game. With this build, you will basically have two other teammates with you at all times because you will always have a stasis buddy and an arc buddy, and then of course you can sprinkle on always being amplified, always having radiant, and even having restoration pretty much 24/7. So the first thing we really need to talk about is the synergy between our exotic armor and our aspect Bleak Watcher. So hold to convert your grenade into a stasis turret that fires slowing projectiles at nearby targets. So this was pretty self-explanatory. You can turn your grenade into a stasis turret that again will slow and freeze targets, but we can then pair that with our exotic armor, the Getaway Artist, which has the exotic perk Dynamic Duo. So convert your arc grenade into an arc soul and become amplified. The arc soul functions as an autonomous turret. So the way this synergy is going to work, when you consume your storm grenade, you will get amplified, you will make the arc soul, but it will also spit out the little Bleak Watcher turret because of your aspect. Typically you would only be able to throw the Bleak Watcher on its own, just throwing your grenade, but with this you now are getting two additional benefits on top of being amplified, and amplified now is going to give you a 15% damage reduction and enemies will shoot you less on top of all the movement speed increases that you would normally get. And with Getaway Artist, it even has a functionality when your arc soul hits a target, it will actually grant you some grenade energy back, but if you do have Devour active, it will cancel this out, so I wouldn't rely on it too much because we will have Devour pretty much 24/7. But overall, this exotic and synergy is still one of the strongest things in the game, and it has even gotten better because of the amplified buffs. But on the topic of Devour, let's actually jump into our subclass and talk about how this will synergize even more. First off, we will be running Feed the Void. So defeat a target with any ability to activate Devour. Your Devour effects are improved, restoring additional health and grenade energy. So if you don't know the way Devour works, when you have it active, you will heal on every kill and it will grant grenade energy. With Feed the Void, it is going to be at an increased rate, and since we are on Prismatic, any ability kill will proc this. The most notable thing here is that your Arc Soul that you make from Getaway Artist can proc this. Your shatter damage from your Bleak Watcher turret can also proc this, and pretty much anything that is coded as ability damage will be able to proc Devour. So like I was saying earlier, this makes it extremely easy to permanently have Devour, so you really aren't going to be getting that hidden trait of Getaway Artist too much, but having the Feed the Void version of Devour more than makes up for it, and you can spam these turrets all the time. If you're getting enough kills, you can seriously have 3 up to 4 on the battlefield sometimes, maybe even more depending on the ad density of some rooms. And since you are consuming your grenade, this does mean you also are refreshing Amplified, you are refreshing your Arc Soul, so you're going to have stasis turrets everywhere with a permanent buffed Arc Soul. And honestly, at some points in the game, you don't even have to shoot because your little buddies will kill everything for you. Now for your abilities, make sure you are running Storm Grenade so you can actually take advantage of Getaway Artist. For melee, I like to run Arcane Needle for a couple different reasons. 1, it unravels targets for extra damage. 2, it has 3 melee charges, and 3, it will play into some of our fragments. Next is our class ability. I like to run Phoenix Dive. If you would like to run a Rift, feel free to do so. Phoenix Dive just has the lowest cooldown, so that's why I opted in to take this. And then for super, honestly, it's up to you. Song of Flame will synergize the most with this, and it's arguably the best super here anyway, because with Song of Flame, it will synergize with some of our fragments, but just know with Song of Flame, you will not be able to proc Bleak Watcher since it technically turns your grenade into a solar grenade, and same thing while in your Transcendence form, you can't use Bleak Watcher, but even with that being the case, you can get a couple out in the field, pop your Transcendence, you still do a ton of damage, and Transcendence is very good with this build, and then again with the super, just make sure you have a turret out. You will have them out in the battlefield all the time, so it's really not that big of a deal. But now for our fragments, these first 2 you're going to see in pretty much every Prismatic build. First off, it's just protection, so we get damage resistance when we're surrounded by combatants. This is very good. It makes you a lot more tankier, especially pairing that with your amplified. purpose. So whenever we pick an orb up, we will get a buff based on our super equip. So with Song of Flame, you'll actually get restoration, which is nice. Having pretty much permanent restoration, pairing that with Feed the Void Devour, you are pretty much unkillable. But again, if you opt in to take anything else, you can get Woven Metal with Needle Storm, Frost Armor, Void Overshields. They're all very, very good. Next up is going to be Fast of Courage. So our Arc Soul and Void abilities do more damage to darkness debuff targets. This is great because this will actually work on Arc Soul. So now your Arc Soul will do more damage. You're making these stasis turrets anyway when you pop the Arc Soul, so it's going to apply darkness debuff, but also your Unravel can proc this as well, so you're going to get more damage with your Arc Soul. Now next up is Facet of Ruin. So this is going to increase the damage and size of our stasis shatters between our frozen targets or crystals, and it will also increase the area effect of our ignitions. The ignition part is good because this will synergize with our super. Since Song of Flame, you're going to constantly cause ignitions all the time, you're just going to have those increased ignitions, which is great. But the main thing is now your stasis turret that is freezing targets over and over again, you're going to be doing more damage to those frozen targets and have better ad clear. So since you can spam turrets everywhere with getaway artists, everything's pretty much going to be frozen. You're going to be able to kill these enemies extremely easy, and this kind of works as a pseudo way to make your Bleak Watcher do more damage, while Facet of Courage is kind of working in a way to make your Arc Soul do more damage. And since those two things are the whole basis of the build, these are both great to take. But then the cherry on top with Facet of Ruin is that you will also get the ignition increases because of Song of Flame. Now for the final fragment is going to be Facet of Dawn. So whenever we get a powered melee hit, we will become radiant. This will give us 20% more damage. We will have 3 melee charges, so it's extremely easy to be radiant whenever you want to. Pairing that with Transcendence, you will obviously be able to spam your melees all the time. And this is just great because, again, Unravel is going to do more damage. It's now also going to grant you Radiant. With Radiant, you also get anti-barrier capabilities, so you can stun barrier champions. And then with your Bleak Watcher, it will slow, so that will stun Overload, and Freeze will stun Unstoppable. Same as Ignitions will also stun Unstoppable, so you have a way to deal with every single champion just in your subclass alone, which is very, very good. So just with all that, you're going to be able to freeze everything, have turrets that help you out, be unkillable because of things like Devour and Restoration, have one of the best supers in the game. On top of that, you're also getting your damage reduction from Amplified and things like Protection. You're going to be Radiant all the time. Your Transcendence is also going to be very, very potent with this build. And then with all that, you also are buffing the Arc Soul damage and sort of the Stasis Turret damage because of the increased Shatter damage. Just with the exotic armor and subclass alone, this build pretty much has you covered in anything from DPS all the way to ad clear to any in-game content that you would like to do, and it is also extremely easy to use. Now for the weapons with this build, you honestly can run literally anything you want to. There's no weapon requirements. Anything you want to run will work. Any exotic primary, any exotic heavy. There is some notable things though. If you do run something like an arc weapon, since you do technically have an arc grenade equipped, it is extremely easy to keep amplified up. Yes, you will have it pretty much permanently all the time with getaway artists, but if there ever is a time it runs out, you don't have a grenade, you can get kills with an arc weapon to proc amplify, but it is really not that big of a deal. I promise you can run absolutely anything you would like to. You can even have a demolicious weapon just to spam even more grenades. That's something you would like to do. The possibilities are endless, and it's just kind of whatever you like to play alongside whatever content you're going into. Now for the armor, for stats wise, I definitely go with the 100 resilience, get 30% damage reduction, 100 discipline, so I can spam my grenade a lot more often. Again, that's the whole basis of the build. And then I like to opt in to take a lot more strength because, again, you will get to spam your Arcane Needle a lot more often. Pairing that with Fast of Dawn to get Radiant, it's really, really nice, again, to take out those barrier champions and just get extra damage. But if you want to opt in to take more recovery to get your class ability back, you can, but I really don't think you need it because the survivability for Phoenix Stop is nice, but I kind of use it, it's just I'm about to die button, so I don't really use it too much, or kind of as a utility way with some of our armor mods. But with Feat the Void and, you know, Amplified and all that sort, you're pretty much already unkillable. But talking about armor mods, these are the ones I'm running if you'd like to copy it down. For our helmet, always go with a Siphon mod. Right now I have a Void Siphon since I have a Void weapon equipped, but obviously swap this out, you know, for whatever element that you are running on a weapon. I do run a heavy ammo finder and a heavy ammo scout, so I can make heavy ammo for me and my teammates. If I'm being completely honest here, nothing else really matters too much. If you want to swap on a dynamo to get some extra super energy, you can, but we're not really spamming our class ability too much, but that is an option. That's something you would like to do. Ashes Assets does not work with Arc Soul, unfortunately. Hands-on, the Arcane Needle is not really getting kills too much. You're mainly just using it to proc Unravel and get Radiant. So these are kind of up to you. I think the best thing to take is just heavy ammo finder, heavy ammo scout, but again, you can't throw in a dynamo. Just make sure you are running a Siphon mod. Now for our arms, I do like to run a loader. If you can bear just having a slower reload speed, you can swap this out for pretty much anything else, but I like to have a loader based on whatever my main at clear weapon is, and then a bolster and detonation and a momentum transfer. So whenever I cause damage with a grenade, I will get class ability energy, and I will also get melee energy. The cool thing about this is that your Bleak Watcher technically does count as grenade damage, so while it's just sitting there damaging targets over and over again, you're going to constantly be proccing these, so it makes it really easy to get your melee back and your class ability back. Now, these do have an internal cooldown, so every time your Bleak Watcher hits an enemy, it's not like you're getting these energy back, but since the Bleak Watchers are literally always up, you proc it, it goes on cooldown, you proc it, it goes on cooldown, you proc it, there's pretty much no downtime. Now for your chest piece, always go with resistant mods, just swap these out for whatever content that you are going into. And then for the boots, I do like to run a recuperation, a innervation, and an absolution. So it's recuperation, I'll get health back when I pick an orb up. This will pair very nicely with purpose, so we will also get restoration when we pick an orb up. So we're basically getting a huge chunk of health and also start a health regeneration, pairing that with devour. You're pretty much unkillable. You honestly don't even need to take this if you would like to take more ability energy, but you don't really need that either, so I just like to have the extra survivability. Now, innervation will get us grenade energy whenever we pick an orb up, and then absolution will give us energy for all of our abilities. So again, we can spam our grenade a lot more. These will stack, and with absolution and innervation, you technically are getting more grenade energy than if you were just to run double innervation, and you're also getting the other benefit to get your melee and class ability back. And again, they are pretty good for this build, especially your melee. For our class item, I like to take a powerful attraction just so I can pick all the orbs up around me when I use my class ability. You do get your class ability back a good amount because it is Phoenix style that give bolster and detonation. You can basically just play around this to get your orbs. This will proc everything else that we were talking about. Then on top of that, proximity ward, so whenever we go for a finisher, we will get a powerful overshield. And this is great because we can run things like special finisher, so we're going to be getting armor charge whenever we pick all these orbs up, again procking the other things, but now we can actually just make special ammo. So honestly, if you don't really care about having more special ammo, you can swap this out for literally anything else that you would like, for more ability energy, reload your weapons, health, anything of the sort. But I particularly like to run special with this setup because not only does it make it for you, but it will also make it for your fire team. Again, with heavy ammo finder, heavy ammo scout, you're making ammo for your team alongside everything else that we've already went over with being unkillable, having good damage, all of the sort. It is one of the best all-around warlock builds in the game, especially for prismatic, and that's still why you see most people run it almost every single day. Now, I'm probably going to do this towards the end of every video in this series. Again, just to reiterate, you don't have to run any artifact perks with this build. You have every champion. It's very good in any end-game content you would like to do. But I do want to mention as well, obviously the artifact is going to make the build stronger, so always be sure to just click on these depending on whatever season we're in, if they are based around the build. I mean, with things like this season, you can really buff volatile rounds. If you are running void weapons, you can have even more ammo paired with everything else. It's some crazy things you can do with the artifact, but again, I do want to point out you don't have to run this, and it will still get you through everything in the game pretty much anytime you want to do it. But now for the final part of the build, this is the Transmog I'm running. Obviously, I went for a very Transcendent themed look. My Titan Hunter Transcendent builds are going to have a very similar look. It's going to be pretty much the same way throughout the whole series. The Arc ones will be kind of similar and stuff like that. But with the Warlock one, I took advantage of the Volk helmet, the Getaway Artist ornament, the Garden of Salvation class item, and I think these are just seasonal items at some point in some battle pass. But overall, I think it did turn out looking pretty cool, and if you want to make your Warlock look like this, definitely be sure to copy it down. But all right, that is going to do it for the first build video of this series. Again, I'm going to be posting a build for every class, all of their subclasses from here on out going forward, so definitely be sure to check them all out if you would like to see them. If you are a veteran player and watch it all the way through, I truly appreciate it and hope you learned something new. If you're a newer player, I wish you all the best of luck on putting this build together for yourself. I know this has pretty much been my staple go-to Warlock build in any content that ever comes out. If I don't know what to throw on, throw this on. You can literally do everything with it. You can run whatever weapons you would like to do. And it's also pretty fun to play. I mean, just having your little buddies up all the time. I can see how some people think it's boring because, again, you don't really have to do too much because the game kind of does everything for you. But it's kind of fun, you know, controlling, commanding your little army around. And it has the added benefit of that it's also very, very good. Anyways, that's going to do it all for me. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.